Hey everyone, welcome to the sixth episode of The Hard Count. My name is Michael Emami, and on this episode I had the opportunity to speak with Jesuit High School's quarterback Luke Knight. Knight currently stands at 5'9" and 156 pounds and is a dual threat out of Tampa, Florida. Knight's film shows that he is a very dynamic quarterback that loves to run the ball. His stat line confirms he has more rushing yards than throwing yards and is often difficult for defenders to pursue and bring down. Knight also has a very high football IQ, and his size and ability to make tough throws and navigate the pocket are comparable to that of a young Drew Brees, and we talk a little bit about that on this episode. Alright everyone, here is Luke Knight. Enjoy. What camps have you done and what schools are you kind of looking at right now?
So camps for this summer, obviously, as you know, coronavirus has been killed everything. But we were interested on going up to like a few schools that I'm talking to, like Illinois State and Southern Miss, Indiana. Got a few USF, some local schools, FAU. Recently, I had been to a lot of the Team USA camps. Learned a lot there. Learned a lot at Team USA. Some FBU camps. So I would say we've been a lot interested in USA. They've created a lot of connections for us, but mostly this summer I was going to be going to college camps, and that all got shut down.
All right, so tell me a little bit about USA. So what do they kind of do? What kind of program is that, and how have they kind of how do you kind of work with that? What is there like an elite program for kids?
Yeah, so USA, when you went there, the camp itself was a lot of individual and then 7-on-7 kind of stuff. And from there was multiple across the country. They selected a few kids to play in the game. So I played in the game. I got selected to play in the game in Ohio, and that's where they obviously had their selection of their certain amount of kids from the camps. And that's where it was more college coaches kind of coaching us. We had practically most of the coaches were smaller colleges and not as many high school like it was at the local ones. We had a good amount of, my offensive coordinator was an NAIA college coach, and my defensive coordinator was a Division II coach. So in the game, it was a lot of, we got a high level of coaching. So I learned a lot there, but the camp itself was amazing as well. We had constant reps, constant flow, was never a down period of sitting around waiting for the next session, and you were always full go with either individuals or 7-on-7s or 1-on-1s and some 40s and stuff. You were always constant go.
Right.
So that's what I loved about them.
Awesome. And so let's talk about your position here. So have you always played QB, or have you played other positions in your past?
So when I first started playing football, I played a little bit of QB with some receiver, but I always played safety up until about seventh grade is when was probably my last year. I played a little bit my seventh grade year, but I always played free safety up until then, so I was pretty good at it. And then the older I got, the more serious quarterback got, so that's when we started to put that away. But up until my seventh grade year, I would say was the last year I really played safety, and that was only like half when I needed to. Eighth grade, I went in at safety very few times, practically only one half of the season when it was a close game. And then other than that, I did not play safety.
Awesome. Yeah, and you had a pretty good 40 from what I read. So how have your coaches kind of developed you into the program, and what kind of relationship do you have with them?
So with high school, is that your question?
Yeah, with your coaches, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, last year I had already started to meet the coaches. One of my coaches at the youth level was friends with the JV head coach, so he started to talk to me and get me involved in the program and get my name to the varsity coaches, and then I started going to games and was able to be on the sidelines and going to practices. So I started to get familiar with the program, and now we actually started workouts not last week but the week before that for football. So we've already started, and I've got access to all the plays, and I've already learned the offense. And so we've started working towards this season 2 weeks ago. Luckily got to get going. So that's pretty much all we've been able to do is work out. But other than that, started to build a relationship with everyone.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about your kind of your workout regimen and how you kind of balance that with academics and schoolwork.
So the school I'm going to is an extremely high promoted academic school. Part of the reason I went to the school I'm going to, it's a private Catholic school, but academics is a huge part of this school. So we are working out once a week. I mean, not once a week, once a day, every day. And during the school year, it'll be we have study hall before practice, and then you have practice, and then go home, and you have some time to practice. But they stay on us pretty good. It's a tough education there. It's not easy, and that's what everyone, when you come in, it's like don't mess around or you will get caught behind. So you just really got to dedicate yourself to. But when you do, you've got a superior education to where kids come out of high school going into college and they don't have to do the freshman study hall. Like, we have two kids. One's at Florida right now, running back. He came in, never had to do freshman study hall just because he went to Jesuit. And same with the kid at Washington State, never had to do it just because he went to Jesuit. It's just the fact that they knew he had that work ethic integrated into him, that they didn't need to put him in that freshman study hall.
All right, awesome, awesome. So let's talk about your film here. So I noticed you had far more rushing yards on one of your stat lines, and was being a
hmm
dual threat always something that was kind of natural to you, or did you kind of grow into that as you kind of progressed?
So when I was younger, I wasn't really much of a dual threat, and the older I got, and the better kids I got to play with, I became faster. I used to not be real fast, and then it came into me. I started to get a little bit faster, and I started to run more. I didn't used to run a whole lot, and this past season, our offense called for me needing to run more than often. So didn't have the opportunity to throw as much. So I ran a good amount just because it's what we needed to do, and what we needed to win was for me to run the football. So I am a dual threat, but I also throw the ball. So I'm definitely a passer, not only just a runner. But no, that season I needed to run the ball for us to win the games, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I see that you're 5'9", right?
hmm
So you're not the tallest guy out there necessarily, but certainly the most motivated and can make throws on a dime. And you have a similar style to like a young Drew Brees. You kind of reminded me
hmm
of. So do you have any role models in the NFL or at the college level that you kind of compare yourself to personally?
Yeah, definitely. So I would tell you my guy is Baker Mayfield. I try to model myself exactly after someone like him, where he's a high energy, big time leader, and like always got the team going. If you watch highlights of him, and you always see him before the game all pumped up and got his guys going. So, and he's a shorter guy who makes plays happen, and that's me. I'm not going to be your 6'5" guy ready to throw the ball. I mean, I'm going to make some stuff happen. I mean, Kyler Murray, he also one of the guys I model myself after. They all can throw the football, but they also can run the football. So they're not only runners, but they're also high energy players where they got the team behind their backs. And that's kind of how I try to model myself, is be that high energy dude. That's why I love Baker so much, because he's so out there. Like, everyone knows it. Everyone knows he's that super hyped up crazy guy, and I try to be not like too much, but always to the point where you got your team hyped up and wanting to play with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And so kind of in terms of your teammates, like who on the team do you kind of have the best relationship with? Do you say, like in terms of who you play with?
Are you that about like position wise? You saying?
Yeah, position wise, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the kids on my team right now that I play with are on my 7-on-7 teams. So a few of my receivers, I've actually thrown with them for a matter of 2 years, and I haven't even played real tackle football with them. So this is my second year just throwing to them, and we haven't even played a game together. So some of these guys who are on my 7-on teams, like my receivers and a couple DBs, are who I'm closest with, just because we've played on teams together before. So I've got a couple dudes, probably three guys who played receiver for me on 7-on-7, and two or three guys who played DB for us in 7-on-7. So that's who I would be closest with. But I'm starting to build relationships with more people now.
Right, right. And so
hmm
I see that you're from Florida, right? And so that's a huge
hmm
state that produces the most football players out of any other U.S. state.
Definitely.
Do you get along or have a relationship with any of the other QBs in your state, or is kind of the competition like very, very aggressive? Would you say?
I mean, competition's obviously extremely tough because it's Florida and everyone's got the same goal to go play somewhere. But no, we all take our time and show love to each other. We're not gonna be hard on it. We push each other, but we're not gonna be those to each other. So I've got relationships with some dudes. I mean, the kid down in Fort Lauderdale, I'm sure you know who it is, Tyler Aronson. I mean, I
Yeah.
talk to him here and there. Super nice kid. He's a great quarterback. I mean, watch his stuff. He's a great quarterback, and he's someone who we would probably compete with each other if we were together. If we're together, we're going to push each other to be better people, and it's never a hatred thing because we're both playing the same position and we're both going for the same job. No, we're going to push each other, but we're still going to be buddies after it. And the dudes I've played with at like USA, like Jackson Smolik, if you know who he is,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
Liam Appler and Connor Clark and some of them. I mean, Jackson's been one of my good friends for a while. Liam, we still talk to his family. So we all push each other, but at the end of the day, we all went out to dinner after and hung out with each other. So we all love each other. It's not at all one of those things where it's like, I don't want to be cool with you because I'm your competition. Not at all.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we're gonna push to be better than one another, but at the end of the day, we're gonna respect each other and be buddies after it.
Yeah, yeah, and that kind of gets into your personality a little bit here because you say on QB hit list as well. And for the record, I absolutely love this quote. You said, "To serve my teammates every way possible." So where did this kind of quote come from, and how do you live by it? Would you say?
So one of the people I'd give credit for building me to be the quarterback of who I am today would be this group called NFA that actually just merged with QB Collective, if you knew anything
Yeah.
about that. So NFA, the guy who ran NFA, his name's Darren Slack, probably one of the greatest dudes we've met in the football world, that's influenced our lives onto what we do. Knows his stuff 100% about QB, knows it head to toe on probably more than anyone we've ever met. Mostly more than anyone we've ever met, but also the leadership factor is what my parents and me loved about him, and the reason we went back to him every year was he took the time out of his camp to talk about what it's like to be a quarterback off of the field and on the field, but not about playing, but about being a leader. And so his thing was, you always got to be serving others, not just your teammates. So it was serving your sister, your parents, your mom and dad, your cousins, your friends. That was what we loved about him so much, was the fact that he didn't only focus on quarterback. He didn't only focus on football. And he's built that into our lives. To now, I haven't been to his camp in 2 years because I didn't get to go last year or this year. So, but it'll still be a daily thing. And my dad would be like, "Hey, what's Darren Slack say?"
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of what we've modeled it after, because he's just taught me so much in the leadership world, to where that this is how you are a quarterback, but a quarterback in life is you're here to serve others. You're not here for yourself.
Right, right. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and I know Liam also had a quote from Darren Slack as well, so I've heard
Yeah.
his name come a lot on here on the
Oh yeah. I
on the
mean, we
podcast.
both knew each other. We both knew each other through that, and he'll tell you the exact same thing, that guy's influenced the way he plays the game and the way he goes about his game. Guarantee Liam would say the same thing, that he's a huge impact to what he is today.
All right, everyone, thanks so much for listening. That was Luke Knight out of Jesuit High School in Tampa, Florida. If you'd like to contact him, his Twitter account is @LukeKnightQB, and I'll attach his film and stats below if you want to check that out. If you would like to contact me, my Twitter handle is @EmamiMichael. My Facebook page is @The Hard Count with Michael Emami. My YouTube channel is The Hard Count with Michael Emami, and it would mean a ton if you guys subscribed. It comes at no cost to you, and you get updates on all the new showcases that I'm doing and all these really cool athletes. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This has been The Hard Count. Do you have what it takes to go D1?